Hey guys, Rorius here. Welcome to the AMA. I did an AMA not too long ago on the channel, and unfortunately, at the time, I was like rushed for time, so I didn't give you guys much time to actually post your questions. So I thought I'd do a follow-up. A quick follow-up, where I give you like a full week to like write as many questions as you'd like on the channel, and I'll go through and answer them now. Let's see what you guys want to know. They're curious to know. Josie asked, I've always wondered what makes you keep going on with YouTube. Has there ever been a point where you felt it wasn't right or wasn't going to work out? P.S. And I'm Rochelle. TM, trademark. What makes you keep going on YouTube? Well, I mean, the doing YouTube is great. I really enjoy doing YouTube. When I first set out to do it, I had seen other YouTubers and like small and large, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. I'd love to do that. So yeah, the vision of being able to sustain myself while doing something I love is why I keep going. Definitely, all the time, I wonder if I'm wasting my life by pursuing this for such a long time. Of course, there's always those fears, but that was a fear that I had when I went to university. You know, I wasn't sure if I was going to do what I was going to do with myself. To start with, I was studying physics and computer science. The computer science was an afterthought, initially, because physics was where I thought my future was going to be. But I was so unsure of that future, because firstly, what physics jobs could you get, especially in New Zealand? But then, yeah, the computer science was clearly more my field. So I've always been unsure of whether it was going to work out or not. I think that's just life. I think for a lot of people, not everyone, but for a lot of people, there isn't that assurance, I guess. Like, people don't know whether something's going to work out, but you just gotta push for it, you know? You just gotta try, make it work. And if it doesn't work, then that's just, you gotta roll with the punches. Of course, you've got to aim for reasonable goals. Like, I would never have gone into it expecting to be, like, PewDiePie. Because PewDiePie is ridiculously big. I doubt anyone is gonna ever quite reach the same sort of size. I mean, there are other YouTube channels that have like 100 million subscribers, but I don't think anyone's going to reach the same sort of cultural phenomenon as PewDiePie is. Yeah. Tiana asked, of course, one of the biggest questions of all is, will there be more chocolate ASMR? Or just ASMR? I'm asking this for the people. Maybe? I doubt it. Especially just specifically chocolate ASMR. Maybe there'll be, if I find some other item that I think has a really interesting mouth sound. I hate mouth sounds, by the way. If I found something that was like super crunchy or something, I might consider doing another like silly one-off ASMR video. Answer, maybe. Tiana goes on to ask, after having for some time a new hairstyle, the one you have now, can you imagine going back to your spaghetti hair? my down to my ass hair, you mean? Is it possible you feel more confident in your latest hairstyle? Yeah, I mean, yes and no. There's a lot of power behind having long hair. And for some people, that's still how they see me, how they think of me. Having shorter hair is so much nicer in terms of just the day-to-day, the moment-to-moment. There's a lot of cool things you can do with long hair, but it's so much nicer having shorter hair. My hair's a bit long at the moment. I need to go get it cut. But, yeah, generally speaking, especially when it's like freshly cut, short hair is so much nicer. It's faster to clean, to like dry out. There's less work I have to do to make it stay and do what it's told. When you have long hair, there's not really product you can use to make your hair do what you want, other than like crazy industry level hairstyling products like special like hairspray and stuff. But when you have short hair, I just use pomade and I can get it to look how I want. It does mean I have to buy product, but yeah, in my opinion, it's so much easier, so much nicer. Josie again asked, Half-Life VR AI self-aware reaction, when, I say. When, I say. I still haven't watched that series. It's been so long since it came out. I don't know. I suppose I could do a reaction. I'd have to dedicate like a whole stream to it though. I forget what the cut down one, because there's like a cut down shortened version. I forget how long that is. Yeah, maybe someday. The SpongeBob pull the conch. Maybe someday. Tiana asked, can you go more into depth as to how it looked and it was like when you told your parents, other members of your family, and your friends about your YouTube channel? I'm sorry for asking. I'm aware this could be too personal to talk about. Feel free to avoid this question. With whichever answer you say, I still hope that you'll be able to have more people see this channel, and that the channel will grow, and that you will prove to everyone just how much you are made of gold. That's a very nice compliment. Thank you, Tiana. I'm pretty forthcoming with these kinds of things. I'm not usually... There's stuff I keep private, but for the most part, I'm not too concerned about people knowing these kind of things. At first, you might have noticed in the early videos, I really tried to avoid... Like, I was being really quiet, and I had the worst camera presence ever. But I was almost borderline like whispering, because my parents didn't know that I was doing YouTube. And so I kept it to myself out of fear that people wouldn't take it seriously. But then eventually when they found out, my family was more concerned about me deciding to do that. Sorry about that. Nephew just came into the room to say hi. Yeah, so my family was mostly concerned, which is I was afraid of that, especially like later on when I quit my full-time job to do YouTube more. It's probably one of the worst decisions I made, only from the perspective that, like, if you were to ask anyone, like, would you quit your job to do a channel that had 40 subscribers? You know, like, actually, I think it only had like 15 subscribers or something like that at the time. They would say like, no, what the fuck is wrong with you? But it was more so that I just hated my job at the time. It was a good excuse to quit. And then thankfully, like right after that, just as soon as I did that, like I had a big boost from big boost of subscribers. Big boost. I went up to about 40 subscribers overnight, or over like 3 days. I went to 40 subscribers from like 12 or 15 or something like that. So I felt like I was gaining momentum already. Eventually, when my friends sort of found out about it, they were all pretty supportive. Like they were all, the majority of them were like, "Oh, cool. What's your channel? I'll subscribe and I'll, you know, I'll do all that." So yeah, friends, friggin', that was smooth sailing. Family was a little rockier. It's mostly just like, are you sure that's a good idea? How will you sustain yourself financially? It's always about money. It's always money with people, like with dissenters, as well as a lot of people who are like interested in your growth. It's almost always about money. And as I've said before, like if I was just doing this for the money, this would be a terrible choice. This would be a terrible choice, financially speaking, to try and to jump into YouTube when I haven't, you know, already set up some sort of foundation. So I hope everyone knows that me running this channel, I'm not trying to do it to, he's trying to do it to get money. I have ads on my videos because he only cares about money. No, I wouldn't be doing this if I only cared about money. Yeah, anyway. Josie asked, do you still have a dream job you wanted to do? I mean, the closest thing to that, I would say, I mean, yes, I had some dream jobs as a kid. One of those dream jobs still is like game designer, game developer. I'd still be chuffed if I could do that. If I could somehow get the channel to a point where I can record myself playing games, and then the rest of my time I could spend making games, that would be fucking ideal. Pardon the language. That'd be supreme. Yeah, if I could get myself to a comfortable position where I was doing most of the recording, and perhaps the editing was being done by someone else, because editing is the thing that takes up the majority of time. It's what's really the killer, the time and stuff like that. If I could just like play what I wanted whenever I wanted, basically, and the rest of my time was spent making video games, indie or for like a publisher, that'd be the tops for me. That'd be absolute tops. Vince asked, what is your favorite Valve released game and why? That's a tough one. Ooh, that's a tough one, because Valve has some freaking bangers. When it comes to Valve, it's really hard to say. I feel like people would want me to say Portal. And while Portal is right up there, I think I'm gonna have to say Half-Life 1. People are like, ugh, he says Half-Life 1. But no, Half-Life 1 was the first, like, first-person shooter that I properly played. It was the game that introduced me to WASD and the mouse for moving your face. It was such a unique game that I'd never played anything like it before. I was blown away by all the details, and I played that game to death as a kid. It got me into modding and stuff like that as well. I had done modding stuff in other games as well, but Valve, like, Half-Life 1 was the first game that I found, like, a bunch of other modded stuff. Like, I remember the first game came out, and then there was, like, the way that the packs worked, the way that the expansions worked was kind of interesting, because there was Opposing Force and Blue Shift, and initially I only had Opposing Force. Blue Shift came a little bit later, but an interesting detail was that while you're in Half-Life 1, you could go to a little menu that was like other installations of the game or other versions of the game, and you could actually just jump from Half-Life 1 into Opposing Force through this like little menu. I can't remember how that worked now, but you could also, if you installed any other mods to Half-Life 1, they would show up in that list, and you could like jump into other games. And I remember I had two other like, I don't know where they came from. I don't know if my brother downloaded them or something, but we had these two other like versions of Half-Life 1 that one of them was like, you start out in like the Himalayan mountains, and that's supposedly where you find the Zen crystal that then turns into the Black Mesa incident and stuff like that. I remember just being kind of mind-blown that this whole other game existed within Half-Life. Little did I know at the time, I didn't really know that it was a mod. I didn't know what it was. It was just this like crazy other story within Half-Life. And eventually, when I came to sort of understand what that system was, I learned more about like modifications and stuff, and I started downloading my own mods for Half-Life 1 and like Counter-Strike and other stuff like that, and other Valve games. A lot of that modding stuff started with those couple of little side games for Half-Life 1. Got me interested in, well, pulled me more so into modding and game development, stuff like that. I've been wanting to make games since I was like 5. I got a PlayStation when I was like 4. As of like 5 or 6, I was like drawing monster designs, and they were like shitty kid drawings, but I was drawing like monster designs and coming up with like levels and stuff like that for a game that I actually would still like to make that game eventually. I drew so many things of that game, but I had no real ideas of what the story would be or anything. I just was developing like levels and designs and stuff like that. And yeah, I'd still be keen to like make that game. I'd have to find all my drawings again because I saved them. But yeah, like Half-Life 1, and then later on, I think only slightly later, Command & Conquer Red Alert 2 got me like interested in modification stuff. And then later again, like way later, Little Big Planet got me interested in like programming and game design, because they had some interesting features in those games. So that's why Half-Life 1, I'm gonna say, is my favorite Valve released game. Jake asks, there's been a lot of talk around a prolific group called the Girth Gang. What were the origins of this, and what direction do you think they'll be heading in as they move forward? So, Girth Gang for life, first of all. Second of all, it all started with it was that Counter-Strike stream, wasn't it? I think we were playing Counter-Strike, or no, I think it was Gmod, but we were playing TTT, Trouble in Terrorist Town. Or we were playing, like, the Death Run mode just before that. Or was it might have even been Prop Hunt. We were playing Gmod, we're definitely playing Gmod. And I don't know who first suggested it. I think Robbie was just talking about Robbie or you, Jake, talking about King of Girth. Rorius is King of Girth. It turned into hashtag Iron Girth, hashtag King of Girth, eventually hashtag Girth Gang. And then Girth Gang is just, it's just where it is now. And the direction they're heading in as they move forward, I think they're going to aim for total global domination. Pixel Dad asked, do you like anime? Do you watch anime? If yes, what animes are your favorites? Anime's alright. I'm not the biggest fan of anime. I find... See, I'll preface all this by saying, typically when I'm watching, like, shows, TV shows, whatever, I typically prefer comedy stuff. I always liked my Simpsons, Family Guy, as well as things like The IT Crowd and Black Books, and, like, to some extent as well, stuff like Big Bang Theory or whatever, you know, comedy shows, generally speaking. So, when I first sort of got introduced to anime... I mean, I used to watch Pokemon, I used to watch Dragon Ball Z. I loved them as a kid, you know, and I would say they're the slightly more, I would argue they're slightly more Western style anime, but, I mean, it's a hard thing to argue, because it's, yes and no. What I would say is they're slightly more better suited for the Western audience, I would say generally. But I've watched a few different, series in my time. I remember a friend of mine introduced me to... My friend Daniel, who was the guy who was working on Portal Unity with me, he introduced me to Tuaru Majitsu no Index, or the Certain Magical Index. Is that what it's called? A Certain Magical Index? Yeah. And by extension of that, I guess, as well, a Certain Scientific Railgun. I forget what the Japanese name for that one is. The spin-off series about the railgun chick. And I really enjoyed that. However... it has all the problems of anime that I struggle with. Whenever I watch anime, I often struggle. Oh, another one from my childhood was Cardcaptor Sakura. I fucking loved Cardcaptor Sakura. That series was awesome. But yeah, the problem with Tuaru Majitsu no Index is it suffers that anime thing of episodes where just the whole episode is just repeating what's happened in the previous episode. I have this trouble with American television as well. American TV, like the trash TV is what I'm talking about. Not general American television, but like your trash TV, your like Hunting Bigfoot or your stupid shows that are about nothing. The problem I always have with them is the incessant need to re-explain what has just happened. So, you know, you'll be watching Hunting Bigfoot, and they'll be doing a thing, and they'll come across some scary thing they'll come across a crocodile or something in a lake. And they're dealing with it, and then the ad break will come on, and then after the ad break, there's a good like 5 minutes where they're just showing reaction shots and repeats of what happened before the ad break. And then you get like 2 minutes of new content, and then a new ad break comes in, and then you're repeating yourself over and over and over and fucking again. There's 2 episodes I can think of immediately off the top of my head in Tuaru Majitsu no Index. In the first season, in the first arc, a full episode, 2 characters are like preparing to fight. It's like it's like it happens in Dragon Ball Z. There's like infamous examples in Dragon Ball Z. There's 2 characters like preparing to fight each other, and like a good like 50% of the first episode is like them shouting at each other stuff about what's going on, and then the next episode it like recaps the entire 50% of that battle practically. Before they've even started, no one's thrown a punch yet. They're just talking. They're just shouting at each other, and I just don't have the patience. I can't handle that. So, what I'll follow that up by saying is that a friend of mine recently showed me Kill la Kill. I say recently, it's like 2 years ago. Showed me Kill la Kill, and the creator of that anime likes to subvert anime tropes. So. Kill la Kill is the most, like, concise, and it just hits all those nails perfectly. Like, whenever some character starts, like... There's a few scenes where, like, a character is fucking monologuing, like you would expect in an anime, and they just get fucking interrupted by, like, a sword through the chest because they're fucking talking when they should be fighting. Oh, it's so good. Like, they just start monologuing and talking about their grandmaster plan, and then out of the fucking blue, a sword just like, oh, through their chest. And it's like, well, that's anticlimactic, but it's like perfect. It's perfect subversion of the anime trope of a character just talking endlessly before a battle. It's like, yeah, that Kill la Kill is my kind of anime. That being said, I should warn, it has a lot of nudity, which is not usually my thing, but it works in the context of the of the show. So yeah, I'd say of all anime I've seen, like recent anime I've seen, Kill la Kill is probably my favorite. Of all old anime I ever saw, I would probably say, even though I loved Pokemon, I would probably say Cardcaptor Sakura. Yeah, I really liked the premise of Cardcaptor Sakura. The idea that when they defeat an enemy, there's like these weird paranormal things happening when and it always is like a monster of some sort. But sometimes they're kind of like, I remember there being a monster that's like a hedge maze or some sort of like weird maze thing, and she ends up, when she defeats things, she stores, they become a card that she can then use later, and that card has like power within it. And I don't know why, I think that's how it works at least. It's been a long time. I just remember seeing some of that stuff and thinking, wow, that's really cool, that's a really cool idea. But the answer really is, I don't watch a hell of a lot of television or anime or anything. I don't watch a lot of movies. Mainly I just watch YouTube in my spare time. I'll watch YouTube while I'm playing a game or working on editing or working on YouTube something or other, you know. Mecha asked, what's your strategy as the imposter in Among Us? Mine is to turn off the lights and kill in the dark. Yeah, pretty similar here. Like, I like to turn off the lights a lot. That's one of my strategy things. I like to turn the lights off a lot. One of my strategies is playing dumb. So I'll often when I'm a crewmate, like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. So like, I don't know, pardon my language. Often as a crewmate, I don't see anything, so I have no idea, and I don't know who to throw suspicion at. You know, I don't know who to suspect for killing or for doing anything dodgy. So most of the time, I'm like, I say things like I just don't know. I don't have enough evidence. And so when I'm imposter, I try to replicate that. So I try to replicate my crewmate behavior when in meetings for when I'm an imposter, because I think that's the best strategy. Is as long as you act the same as you would when you're innocent, then it makes it a whole lot harder to suspect a person. Being able to lie is really good too. Being able to like straight face say, no, I didn't kill this person. I was doing this. Trust me. You know, like being able to say those lines without any sort of inflection differences is really valuable. Some people are terrible at lying, and so you can immediately tell, well, they're definitely the imposter because they are acting different from what they are in their crewmate. That is what I'd say. I try and act as much like I would as a crewmate when I'm imposter, so that there's no difference in the behavior. Benji asked, how do you balance YouTube with your job? It's hard to wrap my head around how you can mentor and still make 2 videos a day. So, what might not be a well-known fact is that I only mentor once a week. So, for a Wednesday, it's always Wednesday my time, so it'd probably be like, you know, Tuesday for you guys, for most of you anyway. I only do it on once a week, which means I don't get a lot of money from it, but it means that I have some cash to work with when I need to, you know. It's sustaining me just barely living at home, you know. I've said this before, like, back when I was working full-time, before I actually properly started YouTube, just from my attempts at making videos before that, I could tell immediately that I wouldn't be able to do a full schedule when also doing a full-time job. I can see how I could definitely see myself streaming with a full-time job, like doing like small, like 2-hour streams or something like that once a day. But in terms of 2 videos a day and streams on the weekend, that just isn't gonna happen. If I can't make YouTube work and I have to switch to a full-time job, the most I could manage is like streaming every now and then. I don't see a video as being able to be maintained, mainly because of the editing requirements. I just don't have time to edit. Yeah. One day a week part-time job is how I manage to balance it all. Because, yeah, balancing it, like, it's good to see that you've got that sort of awareness, because some people don't understand that it is really hard to balance those two. If you have a full-time job, doing YouTube just takes way too much time to maintain. Like, some people do have a full-time job and they do videos, but usually those people will be doing like one video a week, or sometimes one video a month, depending on what kind of videos they're making. My output is unreasonable for having a full-time job. Even like a regular part-time job is unreasonable. It's only because I work very few hours a week that I'm able to do it. Loki asked, what's the most awkward situation you've been in? There's a few. The most recent one I can think of, I don't know if I should share this. The most recent one I can think of is that we were playing a game, which is where you like have to vote. A situation is posited, and you have to basically vote for who on the table you think is most likely to have done that thing, or be like that. It's this weird, like, mind-gamey ass game that is I swear is just like designed to ruin friendships. But there was a question, I won't mention what the question is or who it was, but there was a question that was asked about someone else on the, you know, about what you think of another person on the table, basically. And because of something this person on the table had just said, I put down them as my choice. And when the cards gets like sent back to everyone, because you have to like take your voting card back, when the cards went back to everyone, they saw that I'd voted for them, and they got really upset with me. And it was just like a fun, jokey. I wasn't meaning anything by it, but they took it really seriously, and that was the fucking awkwardest thing. Having a friend suddenly think that I hate them, basically. And I'm like, no, this is a game. It's a stupid game. What the fuck? So in recent time, that's the most awkward thing situation I've been in. I hope that they were just pulling my leg, but I take things really seriously sometimes. I don't take insults seriously. Like, if someone had voted for me, it would have just water off a duck's back. But when it comes to people saying, like, especially straight-faced saying stuff to me, I tend to take it very face value at first. I'm quite gullible in that way. I've always been like that. It depends on how it's said, but like, if it's said with a straight face, with straight tone, I'm immediately very gullible. Like, we had a teacher at school that used to tell people, like, you're getting detention. But he would say it with the, like, straightest face. He would never give detention, but he would say it with the straightest face and with no hint of humor in his voice. And so people often would think that he was being serious, and he'd have to like be like, "No, I'm joking. Don't worry, you're not in detention." But the way he said it, apparently, I've been told by other teachers that you're not actually supposed to do that. That's like a rule. You're not supposed to be like that with kids, because students don't always know when you're joking. Anyway, and that was a wild tangent. Damien asked, well, I have a few questions. We'll start with one. What is your favorite protagonist or multiple protagonists of all time from a game? Oh, dang. Ah, shit. Favorite protagonists. I've played so many games in my life, it's really hard for me to think of this. Sorry if there's rain noise in the background, I just realized it's raining. I was just looking over at my games, and like, from the early eras of games, Dan Fortescue from Medieval is one of my favorite characters. I don't know if it's cheating, because I just really like the game, but I always enjoyed Tombi, from the PS1 era as well. The Tombi as a character, as well as, the game. From the PS2 era, like, Ratchet and Clank, I really liked them as a duo. I wasn't gonna mention it, but I think I should mention Abe from the Abe's Odyssey / Exodus games. Just because he's like kind of like your everyman. He's just like a lone Mudokan. I just had a look at my PS2 games. From the PS2 era, there's like, oh my god, I just looked at it and I've already forgotten. I should mention Metal Gear Solid, like Solid Snake. I've always liked Snake from from the Metal Gear Solid games. I always liked Crypto from the Destroy All Humans games. Destroy All Humans games. I like being the bad guy. Once again, I don't know if this is just because I like the game a lot, but Jen from Primal. There's this little game called Primal, made by the same people who made Medieval, actually. But Jen's just this woman who's brought into these like alternate realms of existence, and it turns out she's like a half-breed, like half demon, half human. And so because she's half demon, she's able to like turn into other demons. She's like this weird. She's basically able to shift into other forms of the characters. Like the different worlds you go to all have different like species, and she's able to transform into like a version of those species from each of the worlds. And it's just really cool. She's a cool character. Her and Scree, her sidekick character, they're cool. I'm struggling to think of anything else from like the modern era. I was just going through my list on Steam, and an example of it, more modern one. I liked Booker and Elizabeth from Bioshock Infinite. Oh, that was the one that I missed from over there that I was like, I just looked. I'd mentioned before about Kane from Blood Omen, from the Legacy of Kane games. I always liked Kane. I wasn't as into Raziel from the Soul Reaver games, even though I think most people prefer Raziel to Kane. Kane's kind of a bad guy in some of the games, but I don't know. I always liked Kane. The first game of the Blood Omen series I played, the first game in the Legacy of Kane series that I played was Blood Omen 2, and I really enjoyed Blood Omen 2, so that's probably why I'm biased in that way. I like Max from Life is Strange. Max and Chloe. I didn't like Life is Strange 2's characters as much as I liked Life is Strange, the original. Don't know why. There's something to do with the setting of the original Life is Strange. I really enjoyed. Oh, I was just looking at point and click games. Sam and Max. They're a combo I like. And I do want to play Sam and Max on the channel at some point. I didn't realize that Sam and Max was taken off of Steam. I have all these Sam and Max games that you can't buy on Steam. So apparently a group has like purchased the license for Sam and Max, and so they're gonna slowly re-release all the games, like HD re-release all the games. So yeah, maybe I'll have to I'll have to check that out. I enjoyed Ori. Ori as a character, the Ori family. I really liked that dynamic. Oh, I'm listening to it currently. I'm listening to the music just while I'm answering the questions. A Hat in Time, friggin' Hat Girl. Oh, she's awesome. She's so cute, and I love everything about that game. On the topic of like things I'm currently doing, I like Phoenix Wright. I like him and Maya as a combo. I think they're really cool. In a kind of like emo way. I always liked the protagonist of The Darkness. I like what's his name? Tony? I think his name's Tony. Something about his character and his like love for his is it Jane? It's been such a long time since I played the original The Darkness. I don't remember the characters' names, but I remember liking them as characters. I'm literally going through my Steam list, by the way, and just opening up every single folder and scanning for any standouts. Oh, I like oh my god, I can't even remember his name. Corvo and Emily from Dishonored. I like that combo. I'm sure there are tons I've missed, but in terms of just like scrolling through my Steam list, those are the only ones I can think of. And to be fair, I must say, the start of me listing the protagonists I like, I probably had a higher bar to clear. As I went on, I started just adding more and more and more names. And I didn't include any characters where it's like the character's like a silent protagonist. Character is designed to just be you. You know, you imprint yourself on them. Didn't include any characters that like you're kind of supposed to dislike. I was talking just characters that I enjoyed as characters in their stories, basically. Question 2. What are your current views on big game development and publishing companies? Can be one or multiple. Hope I wasn't vague and my questions will be answered. Yeah, they definitely will be. Big game development companies. Some of them, they're great. Others have done just awful, atrocious stuff. Like, it's disappointing every day to hear more stuff about what's happening to Blizzard over the slow process of Activision just like consuming it and devouring its core and leaving it a shell of what it was. I have some generally pretty negative opinions about publishing companies, just because, like, from a young age, companies that I loved the games of kept getting consumed by the likes of EA and then just disappearing, and the game's just sucking after that. In terms of a big game development, like big game developers, most of them are still doing pretty good. In terms of actual development, I don't really have any specific negative opinions about, like, game developers. Developers are always under the pressure of the publishers. And I get the publishers are necessary. Like, publishers are a vital part of the game development industry, but it's always very frustrating to see a game either get rushed out or... Actually, there is a little bit of stuff on the development side. There are a few games recently that have been given years and years and years and years to be developed, and clearly the developer didn't have enough people in the studio basically being the decision makers, being the people who say, like, no, this is how it's gonna go. Like, we've toiled enough in this sort of field at this stage. You just need to make a decision and go with it. Because that's a huge issue, is that, like, we often hear about publishers like not allowing a deadline to be shifted. What you don't hear a lot of is developers not meeting deadlines. Game development is hard, and it takes a lot of time and money, but ultimately, you need to compromise when you're developing a game. Sometimes concepts just don't work, and you need to find a workaround for certain concepts, or you need to actually make a decision on some concept. There are a lot of developers who just flounder. I think that's what happened with... I believe that's what I heard happened with, what the hell's that game called? It was a follow-up to Destiny. Anthem. Apparently Anthem, like, years into development, still didn't have, like, a core foundation, because no one at the studio was making, like, the hard decisions. Everyone was sort of, like, trying all sorts of... Like, it was lots of R&D stuff, which is good, but no one was making any, like, solid decisions on the game development side. And so it came to be that a year before the scheduled release date, they still didn't even have the foundation built, which is a clear lapse in development. A clear lapse on the development side. You need people, you need managers in the studios saying, like, all right, how are you doing on this field? If they haven't finished it, why haven't you finished it? Like, we need this done by this time. Whatever you have to do to compromise on your vision, you need to get this done. I think a lot of people don't value that enough. They don't value the constraints. That's what I really like about game jams and stuff like that, where you have, like, 1 week to make a game, and, like, you get a theme, and those are your constraints. Your constraints are what you can develop on, what the theme is, and what time you have. There's real good value in having strong constraints, and in the professional video game industry, having managers who are basically saying, like, this is what's going to happen now, whether you like it or not, is important for those constraints, because they usually actually drive productivity. Yeah. As much as people don't like having constraints and being held back from their creative vision, having those constraints is actually hugely valuable for getting, like, games made. Getting projects made, whatever they... This doesn't just go for game development, but... Yeah. So yeah, that's my opinion on game development and publishing companies. Rocky asked, how long would you say you spend per video? How much time I spend on each video? And how hard is it to do this? Is there any times you just want to stop? So, how long do I spend per video? It varies greatly from video to video, but usually it's a pretty good, like, calculation to say that the final product is usually... like 10 to 20% shorter than the initial recording time. If a video is like 40 minutes, the original recording time will be 50-something minutes. If you take that 50-something minutes as my initial recording time, editing usually takes twice that. Let's say I recorded for 40 minutes, and that turned into a 30-minute video. I edited that, of course. That means that recording and editing, that's an hour and a half of time. And then on top of that, you got the thumbnails and description and stuff, and thumbnails and description are hard to quantify how long they take, just because sometimes a thumbnail takes me ages and sometimes it doesn't. But usually after I finish editing the last video of the night, the time taken from finishing the last edit to getting all the like text stuff done and thumbnail stuff done, it's usually like a couple of hours. But that's usually very distracted, you know, that's like, I'm jumping between, I'm looking at YouTube videos while I'm making the thumbnails, maybe I'm also looking up things while I'm looking for thumbnail stuff, you know, I get easily distracted during that process, so that 2 hours, probably only like an hour of like text description stuff, tags, and thumbnail, for both videos. So yeah, let's say it's an extra half hour on top of all the previous things. So a half-hour video going out. Oh wait, I did the math wrong, didn't I? Shit. Because that if it was a 40-minute video, then it would be like more like an hour and 20. But if I was recording for 40 minutes, then yeah, I'd be editing for about an hour and 20. Although sometimes even 40-minute videos can take me 2 hours to edit. It's usually between an hour and 2 hours. But yeah, let's just say 40 minutes plus hour and 20 equals already 2 hours plus at least a half hour of thumbnail time, so it's about 2.5 hours of overall time spent on a single video. So that would then turn into 5 hours for both videos. But you know me, I'm usually making videos of mine tend to be on the longer side. So yeah, I find that I spend probably about 6 to 8 hours a day doing like recording and editing stuff overall. That's approximately how long I spend. How hard is it, you asked as well? It can be hard. The recording and stuff is totally fine. I have no problems with recording, other than what happened just earlier, which is where it started raining. It stopped raining already, by the way. It started raining, and it rained really heavily for a little while there. So for like a good 5-10 minutes, I just had to sit here waiting for it to stop raining. So, in terms of recording, I freaking love recording. Recording is great. I have no problems recording. It's just editing. Editing is hard. Even though I don't do a hell of a lot of like edits, I don't do like all the silly edits that a lot of other YouTubers do. It just takes a lot of time. If I put in as much effort as those YouTubers did, like I know there's a YouTuber by the name of 8-Bit Ryan. I often mention him because his videos tend to have a silly edit of some kind every like 1.5 seconds. There's some sort of like, at some point in time in the past, he did like he calculated the average. He calculated how many edits there are in the video and then averaged it over the time that the video was. His videos tend to be between 15 and 20 minutes long. And yeah, he was doing something like an edit every 1.5 seconds. That was the approximate time frame. And under that context, that 20-minute video would take him 8 hours to edit. Which is just not sustainable. That is not a sustainable situation to be in. If I'm releasing 2 videos a day, I think he only releases 1, but I release 2 videos a day. There's no way I can spend that much time doing edits. There's a lot of edits in my videos. I cut a lot of stuff out. But I just don't do the like silly stuff. Silly edits take exponentially longer. If I decide that I'm gonna do a bit in a video, that often will add like a good half an hour to the edit time, just because like I'll have to go search up the stuff, what I need for the edit, and then I have to find a good, and sometimes when you're searching, you're gonna always find exactly what you're looking for. So I'm like looking up sound effects, looking up video like free footage to use in videos. For instance, an example of this is like in the forest videos and in the like the raft videos, I made like a custom outro. So I had there was like ocean noise, and there was a video of ocean like waves going in and out and stuff like that, and it just has like to be continued with the theme music starts to play over the top of it. That probably, even though it's only like one video of oceans, one sound effect of ocean waves, that probably took me a good like a half hour to do. The forest one took even longer because I could not for the life of me find a good forest scene that was free to use, like a stock footage of a forest and the sound effects of a forest. I actually ended up breaking open the forest, the game, and finding sound files out from inside the game to use in that outro. So that took that outro, the forest outro, even though it's like a, I don't know, like 6-second clip of just some forest in the background with it saying "to be continued" over the top. That probably took me like an hour to an hour and a half to do, just because of freaking searching for stock sounds and stock footage. It's what I'm saying is it's hard sometimes. The life of a YouTuber is hard. It's just because I don't belong to any of those groups. Like I don't pay for any like use of stock video or stock sound. So when I'm looking, I have to look for free stuff. And no one wants to give out their stuff for free. I kind of answered the last part of this question earlier about the any times you just want to stop. There definitely there are times with everything I've ever done in my life. There are times where I'm like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I can handle this. But most of the time, like nowadays, what I tend to do is I'll just edit one video instead of two, or I'll just have a day off. I'll just say like no videos tomorrow. I'm just gonna take the day. That usually helps for me. But for me, it's really just editing. At the moment, I have so many episodes recorded ahead of time because there's gonna be this big shift around where I in my house soon. So I'm trying to prepare videos ahead of time, so I just need to edit them. Yeah, recording, I can do that. I can do that all day, every day, pretty much. Not all day, but I could do that like every day, and just record like a ton of stuff. But the editing time is just way too much. I don't have the storage space to store all the recordings as well. The day that I could afford to pay an editor to edit my videos would probably be the day that I feel like I make it. It's like once that happens, I could just record and send the footage to the editor and just do whatever I wanted at that stage. That'd be a huge weight off my shoulders. All right, so Tiana goes on to ask, let's say it on camera this time. What channels would you like to collab with? Oh, right. Yes, this question was asked in the previous AMA, but I recorded the AMA before the question came through. As that's sort of answered in the previous one, I'm not going to look at it. I'm just going to try and remember it. See how accurate I am to what I said last time. In terms of, like, YouTubers I'd like to meet, and I'd love to just do a thing with, just because I think it would be awesome to meet them and to work with them. The Game Grumps are right up at the top there. People like Mark or Jacksepticeye. Way up there, like just cool people I really would love to meet. I mentioned David Ryan before. He'd be cool. I think he'd be a cool dude to work with. People like Lixian, who is kind of partially responsible for me having the subscribers that I have because I played his game, and a bunch of his people I think came over to the channel. The thing is though, like before that, I've always thought Lixian was a freaking cool guy. He's just a really neat dude. So yeah. I'd love to work with him. Oh, another example I just thought of as well is like the game theory people. I think they have a cool like group dynamic. Yeah, I think working with game theory would be neat as well. In terms of just like if I just wanted to get like growth on the channel, like earn a bunch of subscribers, it'd be people like Mr. Beast or Dream, or although Dream's got a bad name for himself now, doesn't he? People are seemingly unsure about Dream these days. But yeah, I don't know that I'd want to collab with anyone that I didn't know particularly well. Like there's a lot of creators who like would be beneficial for me to collab with, but I just don't know the personality behind the channel well enough to want to collab with them. I definitely want to collab with people that I watch myself, you know, because I feel like I know what they're about better. Oh, another one that's like mostly for growth would be like the Odd Ones Out. You know, some of the animator channels that are that would just be for growth though. I don't know that I know. Once again, I don't know that I know like the likes of, is it James from the Odd Ones Out? I don't know if I know him well enough to want to work with him. Like some of the other animators though, like I think I'm more familiar with like Domix. He'd be cool to work with, I think. I've also not included any of the personalities that kind of just troll and like make fun out of everything. Just because I'm not that kind of person. While I might watch some of their content, like I'm not the kind of person. I don't joke about everything, and I don't take the piss out of every scenario. I like to be genuine from time to time, so I struggle to relate to people who make humor out of literally everything. You know, any scenario becomes fodder for humor. I don't I don't gel as well with people like that. I like to make humor about stuff, and then I like to be serious about other stuff. Because I like to be genuine, you know? I don't like to, because I feel like that sort of reaction of making humor out of everything is like a defense mechanism to stop people from being able to hurt them. That's the vibe I get. It's like a defense mechanism. And I like to be vulnerable sometimes. I like to point out that, yeah, I fucking love some things. If you insult it, I'm gonna be upset because I fucking love it. But yeah, you show weakness on the internet, and you do get shit. But as long as you're good at dealing with that shit, no big deal. The Golden Glitch asks, "Are you Jesus?" Praise be, my child. Nah, I'm Lord Rorius. Maddie asks, "I know you're gay and all, but does Lady Dimitrescu really do nothing for you?" I'm not gonna lie. While I don't care for the like step on me queen or sit on me queen or getting crushed by someone that's like way, way, way bigger than me. She has a seductive quality about her that I can't deny. I've always had a mild interest in like, I'm gonna say goth chicks, but what I really mean is, it's hard to describe. When I say goth, I really mean like gothic era. Not specifically like goth cutting yourself, depressed. I mean like Lady Dimitrescu. It's like people who know their style, and it's kind of a darker style, and they are confident in themselves. Confidence is sexy. So yeah, Lady Dimitrescu being like this badass, like huge, well-endowed goth chick. It's kind of, yes, it's kind of alluring. Maddie goes on to ask, "Very briefly summarize your content creation, or less demeaning term, career." Yeah. "All your biggest peaks and growths, and what/who you attribute them to, and anything else you want to note." Alright, yeah, so we've done some of that already, but I'll say, like, straight off the bat, in terms of, like, the peaks and stuff like that, I started doing, when I first started, I just posted some videos. Some people came around to them, but at first I only had, I was gaining just a few subscribers every now and then over the course of a few months. For a little over 3 months in, I had gained, I think, yeah, something like 12 subscribers. Then all of a sudden, the few subscribers that I had gained had clearly got the attention of some people. Some interesting people who, some of them are still here, some of them are still around on the channel, which is wild. But one of the first videos I ever released was the Portal Unity developer commentary thing, and that must have gained the attention of Tyler McVicker from Valve News Network, because he then posted, he had a video about like a community highlight thing. He talked about a bunch of community stuff, mods and stuff like that. And he mentioned in his video that the developer for Portal Unity has released a video saying that he's planning on working on Portal Unity. And he also mentioned during the video, not just the mod, he mentioned the fact that the developer has a YouTube channel now, and where he makes videos. And I only had like a handful of videos on the channel at the time. But then, like, in the course of like a weekend, or a course of like a handful of days, I went from 12 to like over 40 subscribers. So that was the first like peak, where it was like, suddenly a bunch of people came around to the channel and started watching my stuff. And I was gaining momentum over the course of that year, and I think there wasn't really another peak again for a little bit. Like I sort of was snowballing, and I at that time, and I got to about 100 subscribers by the end of that year, start of the next year. It was like the start of 2018. Wait, start of 2017? Wait, when did I start? No, yeah, start of 2018. That's when I hit 100 subscribers. And I remember at the time, being very frustrated at the time, because originally the YouTube monetization system, had set itself. It was set so that you just needed something like 10,000 views and 100,000. Was it 10,000 views? 10,000 views, I think, and 100,000. Sorry, and 100 subscribers. I think that was the milestone requirement for monetization, I think. And I just remember because we were getting to 100 subscribers and 10,000 views, like we were like right there, like we just hit 100 subscribers and the 10,000 views was just about to hit as well. I was up to like 9,800 and something, or it was like a few hundred, at most a couple hundred views remaining. When suddenly when suddenly YouTube announced that they were changing the monetization requirements to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours a year. And that was almost like a nail in the coffin kind of moment where it was like, it's all over. But instead of getting sad, I got mad. And so what I did instead is I doubled my output. I switched from doing just one video a day to 2 videos a day. And I've tried my best to maintain that ever since. I remember in the early days, it was very turbulent. Because like I'd start doing 2 videos a day and then immediately something would come up and I'd have to drop down to 1 again. And so I flip-flopped back and forth for a while. But then I think the next big surge was I gained something like 40 or 50 subscribers, maybe even like as high as 60 subscribers from the hell's that game called? Geometry Dash video stream that I was doing. I was playing Geometry Dash on a stream at one point, and a bunch of people came around to the channel and subscribed. It was a large number for the total subs I had at the time. And then sometime not too long after that, there was like 2 different raids over the next sort of couple of years or 2 or 3 raids that caused large subscriber growth. One of them was a guy named Alan, is a Russian Half-Life creator. I don't remember how many subscribers I gained from that, but I gained a bunch from Alan. There was also Little Boy Halo, who raided a Minecraft stream we were doing, and I think is that his name is? You know who I'm talking about, Halo. He's a Minecraft YouTuber. Another one was this weird ass YouTuber. I was streaming Little Nightmares, and this weird YouTuber, I forget what he does. I think he does gaming videos, but his audience is super weird. They came in and just started spamming stuff about poop on the channel, on the stream. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, I gained a bunch of subscribers from that, I think, as well. Not as many, probably like 20 subscribers from that. Bad Boy Halo, that's the name. It's not Little Boy Halo, Bad Boy Halo. And then, of course, the infamous, in 2019, we'd slowly worked our way up with these little boosts, little raids and stuff like that. We slowly worked our way up to, I think we're at like 470 something subscribers in June 2019. I released the Do It For Me video. That was Lixian's game. He released a video about how he made a game in 24 hours. So on this Monday, he released this video about how he made this game. And seeing it that day, I had a gap in my schedule. The next day, I had a gap on the Tuesday in my schedule, and I was going to record something that day and I was like, oh, I'll record a video of that game. I saw the video, I was like, oh, this is freaking awesome. I'll record a video of it and post it up tomorrow. So I did. And I guess because of the timing, because of the fact that I was able to play it like release a video the day after his video went up, yeah, that video fucking exploded. And like 100,000 or something like 150,000 people saw it. Actually, I wonder what the number is currently. Yeah, 152,000 people have seen this video now. 152k views. Over the course of I think it was the first 2 weeks, over the course of a weekend, we suddenly jumped up 100, another 100. I was just like growing exponentially. So it's weird when some people say like, oh, I came to your channel when you were at 600 subscribers. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, there wasn't a time when I was at 600 subscribers. I went from 470 to 2,000. So I gained about 1,600 subscribers in a very, very short time span. So I often get people saying, yeah, I joined when you were at 600 or 700 subscribers or something like that. And they're like, when was that? It was not a time where I was at those numbers. Yeah, and then, so it started off with that. It started off with like a jump straight up to 2,000, and it was like, whoa, holy shit, what do I do with this? And then, like a month later, at the start of the next month, that video re-exploded a little bit. I think because initially it got like 100,000 views, and most of the remaining like 50,000 views, like a good like 20 to 30,000 of it, came the next month for some reason, YouTube algorithm and all that. And so that brought us right up to 2,400. So I basically gained 2,000 subscribers in the course of like a month. In July, August, around that time, I suddenly was at 2,400 subscribers. And ever since then, I've been just working tirelessly to try and grow it, because we haven't had any major boosts ever since. For the last like nearly 2 years, I've just been like grinding away at getting more subscribers. And there have been a couple of raids here and there, but I haven't had any like major subscriber boosts since then. But yeah, so yeah, for the last couple of years, like we've gone from the 2,400 to 2,700 or 800 now. 2,800, my bad. I couldn't remember how many subscribers I had for a second there. Yeah. So we're nearly at 3,000. And there's gonna be something special happening at 3,000. But yeah, I'm not gonna say what that is. But also, I need to start doing things. I need to start trying some things to get us to grow a little more, a little faster, because it's just making videos and just grinding away at the YouTube mill isn't currently achieving what I need it to achieve. So yeah, I'll probably be shifting tactics more so. Like I've already shown some signs of the shifting in tactics recently, but I'm going to shift it even more. Maddie goes on to ask as well, something pretty hot in the YouTube community right now. What is your stance on stans? For you personally, when does a fan become a stan? What's too much for you, and who's your biggest simp? Okay, stans. I forget what that means. 1 second. I know I've seen the definition before. An overzealous or obsessive fan. I know it comes from the Stan, the music video for the song Stan by Dido and Eminem. I would say it upsets me a little bit. And I say that from the context of, I don't think anyone should. People are people. Content creators are people too. I think a lot of people put too much like pressure, emphasis, whatever. They put too much of their life into individual creators and their lives. And I'm not saying necessarily that you can't be a fan of something, but like I think there are a lot of people who like they basically latch onto something and their whole life becomes about that thing. It's that whole idea that's like people think this person is perfect, and that they're like everything about them is awesome and great. People are just people. It's like no one is perfect. No one is like the best at anything. People gotta like chill out a bit in terms of their appreciation of online personalities or celebrity personalities, whatever. For you personally, when does a fan become a stan? A fan becomes a stan when they start feeling like they have authority over what a person that the person they're obsessed with can do. So like, actually, I just saw an example of this before. There was some sort of Instagram creator. I was watching one of the like reaction channels that I watch. I watch a few different reaction channels. I watch Fake Jake or Real Jake, I think is another channel of his. I watch Fake Jake and I watch MK. They're both like reaction channels. And actually, talking about the collab thing before, what channels I would want to collab with, I wouldn't mind doing an episode of like MK because they have like lots of narrators for MK. So I wouldn't mind doing a guest narration. That'd be cool. I'd like that. But yeah, and one of the videos I was watching, there was a Instagram creator, African American Instagram creator woman who was showing off her boyfriend for the first time or something like that, and the boyfriend happened to be white, and like the amount of noise, the picture was her and her boyfriend, and the amount of all this like text around it was all replies. It was noise. That was like basically like ragging on her for dating a white guy, and it's like those people I would say are stans. Those people are have gone too far in saying that this person, because of something, because they're African American, they can't date a white person. How dare they? How dare they make a decision for themselves? How dare they betray their culture or whatever? I think that's too far. And people who are subscribed to a female streamer or whatever, and they unsubscribe or unfollow or whatever when they find out that streamer has a boyfriend. Or they're saying like the closest example I could use for myself is not really a stan, I guess, but just someone who oversteps the boundaries. Is there's some commenter that's been on Portal Unity recently on the page, as well as my ModDB DMs and stuff, basically posting about how Portal Unity reboot, I need to redo it. I can't leave it the way it is. I have to redo it. I'm obligated, I'm required to redo it so that it's more like Portal 1. So all the Portal 2 stuff that I put in throughout the game, I have to remove and put back into Portal 1 versions. I have to do that. I just ignored all the comments that came along like that. But that's an example of like people overstepping. It's like, no, you want me to do that, but that's none of your fucking business. that's my I chose to do that. I wanted to do it like that. That's my decision. You can say you want it to be differently, but to say that I have to change it because it's not how you want it is overstepping. Yeah, so I reckon that's what I would say. Stans, the people when people become like that level where someone becomes a stan, and what's too much is when like someone is so obsessed with a particular person that they feel that that their opinion over something that they're doing is important enough to be required. You know, it's like that they need to do this thing for their own good. It's like, no, that's your opinion for them. That's not your say says you're just a stan. Your say says nothing over what they should or shouldn't be doing. Yeah, that's what I would say. Who's my biggest simp? I don't like labeling people as a simp. As a content creator who relies on donations at this point for the betterment of the channel, simp is a term that I will not use. The person in terms of people who help the channel and really like help with growth, help with the maintenance, I will say, help with like just across the board make my life easier and better in terms of the way that they contribute to the channel is Tiana. Tiana like moderates a bunch of different things for me. She donates a lot. There are other people who donate a lot as well, but like in terms of a person who is like, she's very well known on the channel. She's like a right-hand man of mine, basically. She'll announce stuff for me on Discord, sometimes without even me needing to ask. Like often I'll post something on Twitter, just thinking like, okay, that's done, and then like afterwards I'm like, oh shit, I probably should have posted that on Discord as well. And Tiana's like, I got you covered. Post it on Discord. So yeah, Tiana's the biggest help for me, keeping things going and keeping things moving smoothly. All right, Maddie has one more question. Finally, when's the OnlyFans coming? If Linus Tech Tips can open one, you can too. Did Linus Tech Tips actually open one? I know it was like April Fool's thing was him opening an OnlyFans, but I'm kind of curious to see if there's actually like an actual OnlyFans for him. You know, probably not showing any sexual content, but just showing like YouTube content early, or you know, membership bonuses kind of stuff. I'm really curious. I have no plans. To be as cold and as humorless as possible, I have no plans for OnlyFans. If I did use it, it would be similar to what I just said for Linus Tech Tips, where it's like it would be membership bonuses or something. It'd be like that guy who posts gameplay videos to the hub, you know. I'd do that. Tiana comes back to ask, what dish do you believe you did the best in your life at any point in your life? I used to say pancakes were like the dish I could do the best. That's a hard question because I cook so often I forget the special ones. I remember at some point I cooked a mean burrito. That was cool. There was a time where I was like cooking burritos and stuff like that. Trying to figure out how to do the flips and stuff like that. It was a cool time, but it's just too much effort making a burrito. These days I'm like, I just don't have the time. I just don't have the energy to go out of my way to make burritos for dinner. I'll also say one of the times, like the second or third time I ever did fried chicken. Fucking good. It's fucking so, because what I did is I got chicken cutlets that unfortunately still had bones in them, but they were like a lump of meat with a single bone in them. So I had to like cut out the bone with a knife, and then cut them into like pieces, into chunks. And when I did it like that, because the meat was mostly, you know, was like close to bone meat. When I cooked it, it was whatever the way I batted it as well. When I cooked it, it was so juicy inside. It was like deliciously crispy on the outside, and then like juicy chicken on the inside. It was so good. Homemade fried chicken is so much better than bought fried chicken. If you can fry it, if you know how to fry it, so good. But in terms of like a full meal, I cooked a Mother's Day meal a while back. I posted about it on Instagram actually. Yeah, go in the description and follow me on Instagram if you wish to see random pictures of food that I've been cooking. I very rarely post there, but the Mother's Day dish I did like a year or two ago, where I cooked like a 3-course meal. That was definitely one of my proudest meals that I ever cooked, because it was like these like corn fritter things. I think it was during lockdown, so I think that was part of it. It was a lockdown. I got the recipes from like a lockdown recipe thing. So I made these corn fritter things that were actually really tasty. Mainly because they came with like two different kinds of thing you spread on the corn fritter. One of them was like a sour cream and chili combo thing that was just really nice. It was shockingly good. And then like, what was the other one? I actually don't remember what the other one was. I just remember the freaking sour cream and chili spread was so good on those corn fritters. Another dish was like an Indian potato dish. Oh, what the hell was it? I'd have to go on Instagram and like remind myself, but that whole combination of foods. There was one that had like eggs on it. I think that was the Indian potato dish, had like cooked eggs over the top of it. Yeah, that was just that was a big ordeal, and I was proud of the outcome of that. Balaz Jansek, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. They asked, how do you have 2.88k subscribers while your average view count is only 60? That is because I place like there's like 3 reasons. One is that I play such a great variety of games that not everyone wants to watch everything. So yeah, my average stream view count is over 100, but my average view count is only like around the 60 mark. The second reason is a lot of my subscribers came from singular videos. So, as I said before, like Do It For Me video brought in about 2,000 subscribers. So about 2,000 of those subscribers came around at that time, and only a certain percentage, I don't know what the percentage is, but only a certain percentage of them will actually stick around and continue to watch all sorts of other stuff I do. A lot of those subscribers probably subscribed and just have never returned. And the third reason is that I think a lot of people overestimate what the kind of like viewership of a channel is supposed to be like. People think, oh, 2,800 subscribers, that means he should get approximately 2,800 views per video. No, not at all. Most channels have, I think, in terms of a really healthy channel, you'll get something like, I think it's is it 5%? I think it's like 5 or 10% watch viewership versus your total subscribers. That's like a really healthy channel. It's like 10%. So if you have like 1 million subscribers, getting 100,000 views per video, that's like a really fucking healthy channel. That's like an actively healthy channel. If you've got a channel that has a lot of, like, a fair amount of, like, people who've subscribed and maybe they just came just for one reason or for one particular reason and not anything else, then you can get as low as like 1%, and it still is working. It's still a functioning channel. PewDiePie is an example of that. If he gets 1 million views on average per video, that is 1% of his total viewership watching each of his videos. If I have an average of 60 views per video, okay, yeah, so that'd be like, that's approximately like 2%, I think. But that doesn't include my streams. That's like a 2% of total audience action sort of thing, which is unfortunate. You know, I want it to be higher, and I would love it to be higher. It used to be higher, but yeah, that's just the nature of many YouTube channels. Some YouTube channels, I remember seeing, there were a handful of YouTube channels that had like, that I remember seeing in the early days, had like 6,000 subscribers, but they were getting the same amount of views as me when I had like 400. Like, subscribers versus active viewers is quite different. They're quite different metrics, and that's why I keep saying, I used to keep saying in the past, I don't say it as much anymore because I don't want to upset people. I used to say a lot in the past about how the people I want you guys to share the videos and stuff with friends and get new subscribers in and stuff like that. But what I really need are people who are interested in watching stuff for me, not for the games I'm playing, but for me. So like, if you like my personality, if you see me and you're like, this guy's cool, I want to watch his videos, that is what I need. As a YouTuber, as a content creator, a variety content creator, I need people who want to come for me and not for the videos I'm making. A lot of people came to the channel for Valve and like Portal related stuff because I made a Portal mod. A lot of people come for Portal specifically. The problem with that is if I'm not making Portal, they don't arrive, they don't show up. And that, it doesn't do anything for me as a variety content creator. That is not helpful. In fact, it's kind of actively detrimental. Because YouTube, the way it works a lot of the time is that it basically says, if it sees a channel with lots and lots of subscribers and only a handful of them are watching actively, often YouTube's algorithm seems to think, well, they say it doesn't, but from experience, from many YouTubers' experiences of the system, what they've found is that having all those subscribers who only ever show up for a handful of your videos makes YouTube think that your channel doesn't have that retention, and so you actually get recommended less, and your videos don't get shared as much around the community, and so your growth slows. And I believe that's part of why I've been just sort of grinding away for the last 2 years, because like, I've gone back to what it was like back when I was like 400 subscribers, because a lot of those 2,000 subscribers who came around for Do It For Me didn't stick around. They stayed subscribed, but they didn't stick around for any of the following videos. So yeah, YouTube is like, oh, this guy's good, but he's not that great, you know. So they just share my videos a little bit. And what's really frustrating as well is that sometimes a video will underperform, like compared to other videos like in the series, and I'll look at the analytics, and the reason it's underperformed is because YouTube just hasn't recommended it to people. Like, some videos, it's like the impressions, which means it's been recommended or it's been shown to someone's face. You'll see impressions will go like this, and then the views will go like this. And then other times you'll see a video impressions go like, and then the views go like. So it's like YouTube's system and its method of impressions are causing that change in the viewership of a video. Whether it's because like someone flagged it, or, you know, whether it's some people decided that they didn't like the video and so immediately stopped watching, and so the algorithm reacted that way. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just suck. And so the you know, when people see the videos, they immediately click off, because that also affects a channel's ability to be suggested and recommended and stuff like that, as how long people stick around on a video. If you just open it, hit like or something, and then close it, likes are useful, but that's overall detrimental to the channel. If you just open it, like it, close it, because it's like YouTube thinks, oh, they only stayed for like 2 seconds, so clearly this video isn't holding their attention. Anyway, enough about that. We've got like a couple more questions to go. Tiana asked, it's probably too much to ask for a photo of a small babyus. So if you could describe, how did you look as a kid? One of my earliest photos I can remember, there's a photo of me in the lounge of our house. That's a photo from when I was like 5. I mean, I do remember what I looked like back then, but there's a good photo that I'm going to use as a reference in my head for how to describe myself. I had blonde hair, like white blonde, like gold blonde. I had a bowl cut. I had a little chubby face, like the bluest eyes you've ever seen. If you're a person with blue eyes, by the way, your eyes diminish in their color usually over time. It's like my eyes are much more like a stone blue now. They're much sort of a subdued blue. When I was younger, I had very, very blue eyes. I could show that photo at some point. I won't show it today, but maybe at some point I'll show a photo of babyus. Rorius as a baby. Fun fact, my family, the style of hair that we seem to have is, like, my brother is the same. We started when we were very young with blonde hair. I started with like sort of gold blonde. My brother started with like white, almost white, white blonde hair. And over time, the hair, like, this hair almost looks black in this lighting, but it's a very sort of like, it's a very deep brown, a very brown haired. Like, I'd have to, it's hard to say because like the color correction on the screen makes it look darker than it is. Wait, I'll see if I can turn that off. It's hard to see it there, but you can see with the reflections, there's like this yellow bit, and then there's the bit where the white light is. It's really hard to see, just because of the lighting and stuff like that, but my hair is like it's a deep brown, basically. It's what's known as, is that those ones? Yeah. It's what's known as fair. Fair hair is basically like, my hair has like lots of different colors in it. My beard is the same. My beard has like, if I pluck a beard hair out, there's like about a 50% chance that it'll be just a regular brown hair. There'll be about a 25% chance that it'll be a black hair. And then there's about a 25% chance that it'll be like red or blonde or something in around that color range. Whereas like sometimes it's almost like white blonde. And then sometimes it'll be like as red as you could imagine, like a single hair that's like bright red. It's the weirdest thing, but it's not, like, my beard is full of different colors. My hair is less so like that, but definitely when I was at high school, some of the girls, like when I had long hair, some of the girls asked me if like, oh, do you put highlights in your hair? And I said no. Like, I basically did nothing with my hair. And they were also like jealous because my hair just naturally has variation in color because it's fair hair. And when you start with fair hair, typically you start with blonde, and as you get older, it goes darker. My brother's hair is even darker than mine, I think. But yeah, we both have dark brown hair now, despite starting life with very, very blonde. My brother even more so than me, but both of us starting with very blonde hair. Final question of the AMA. Actually, I'll just refresh these pages just to see if there's any new ones. Oh, there are some new ones, I think. I think most of the new ones are from Tiana. Okay, but there's like 4 more questions. This is getting a very long recording. Tiana asks, do you think you could hide a small object in your beard, like a small piece of candy or a pencil? A demonstration is not needed, but still acceptable. Probably. Like, if I could probably hide a rubber band in my beard. I don't know if it'll hold it. That's the only thing. I don't think it's gonna hold it. It might be too thin. You might be able to see it through the beard, though. I don't think a pencil. I think a pencil will be too heavy. I can hold it. I can't hide it, though. Yeah, it's too thin to hide it. Or maybe I'm just not good at... I just don't know how to hide it. Ah, oh, so close. Almost, almost. The answer is almost. And then also, Tiana asks, if you could make a video, which would be about a skill or a topic you know well, thanks to studying at university, which you were in, what would the video be about? I mean, I guess the closest thing would be, I mean, this is the same with Rorius videos. Those, I would say that's, I used to have better skill in singing, but I would still say it's a skill of mine of sorts. In terms of topics I know well, yeah, like, sort of, I kind of have. The closest thing would be the streams that I did about, like, game development. The making a game for the game jam that I was in a couple of years back. That's the closest thing to, like, doing a video that's in my sort of field of expertise. But to be perfectly honest, I feel like my field of expertise is just games. So I make videos about my field of expertise the most all the time. Soupy Boy asks, what other YouTubers are your biggest inspirations? I definitely take a lot of inspiration from some of the big YouTube channels. Like I've taken a lot of inspirations from Game Grumps, taken a lot of inspirations from the likes of Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. I think, oddly enough, as much as I don't really model my channels after them necessarily, I think of any of those groups, I definitely remember Jacksepticeye, many of his like principles that he had for his channel, many of his things that he decided were like his rule set, if you will, for what he does with his channel, I took on. I took a lot of them on. So stuff like, he basically said, like, as long as what you're making is decent, as long as what you're making is good, if you think it's good, then just like grind away at it. Like post. He was posting 2 videos a day at the time, and so I took that inspiration and like modeled some part of my channel after him, and that way where I was like, okay, I think what I'm doing is interesting to some people. I'm sure it's interesting to some people. I struggle to think highly of myself. I have such bad self-confidence, but like I like the videos that I make, so like I'm just gonna friggin' work at it, just constantly bring those 2 videos out each day as much as I can. But also stuff like just like be you, don't try and play a character, not worrying about swearing so much. Once again, that's like part of being you, basically. There's a few other things, I can't think of what they are now that I'm trying to think about them. But there's a bunch of little principles that I realized, at first I thought I'd taken them from all over the place, but I realized that like almost all of them are like Jacksepticeye, his principles and his ideas. Yeah. Definitely those that like Game Theory, Game Grumps, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, to some degree PewDiePie, as well as a few other smaller channels, but mostly this like my ideals come from like some of those bigger channels. I would say they're probably the biggest inspirations. Definitely for me, Jacksepticeye and some of his like the songs that were made for him like inspired me to do YouTube in the first place. I just remember seeing some of what Jacksepticeye was doing at the time and hearing the song like All the Way, for instance, and just being like inspired, thinking, God, that's so cool. That's such a cool existence. And one final thing from Tiana, Rory, I'm just saying you can skip like 90% of my questions. I wrote too many. I'm sorry. That's not a question. It's okay. No, I like answering your guys' questions, so I have gone and answered all of them. So, yeah, that is it. That's all the questions you guys asked. That was a 2-hour recording. I thought this was going to be a short recording, and it turned into 2 hours. Thank you to everyone who has asked a question. I hope you guys have enjoyed coming across the answers. I'm going to go ahead right now. You'll see it in the past. I'm going to go ahead right now and give everyone a like, and any questions that I enjoyed, a heart. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want me to do more AMA kind of stuff in the future, let me know. I just wanted to do this AMA because I felt like the last AMA was a little bit lacking. Entirely my fault for that, but yeah, I felt like I needed to do another one just to just to follow through with that with my ideals. But yeah, if you like what you saw, hit like. If you want to see more from me, then subscribe. Check the links down below. Check all the description for all the links down below. to all my social medias, and my merchandise store. I promise eventually I'm gonna put some other non-channel logo merchandise on there. I just am working on it. Just working on it, okay? There's gonna be some old channel memes put as merch on the merch store. I guess I have some ideas for stuff from ages ago that I just never implemented. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next time we meet.